So a couple weeks ago, drove down the street to Walgreens to purchase one of these. And the clerk said to me, well, to buy a lighter, you're going to need one of these. And I was like, you need an ID to get a lighter, but she said, that's the rule. So I ponied up my identification, was able to purchase my lighter and move on with my day. Again, well, that's the rules. There's a whole set of things that require IDs that are commonplace in the United States where the rules are the rules and no one looks any which way different. One of them, to my surprise, isn't on the list, and that's to vote in a federal election. Now, why should this even be a sore spot, unless you're the Democrats, of course, the same party that will make you think it's plausible that men will get pregnant. Well, they're the same party that always pulls out the same card. I'm talking about the race card. The minority leader, Chuck Schumer, he's made a lifetime of hitting below the belt, doing his district no good in New York and doing the United States no good, and for that matter, the entire world no good. In other words, he's an empty suit, a good for nothing, and most of all, the only way in which he has succeeded is being a provocateur. And somehow he turned this one racial. Take a look and listen to Chuck.
The SAVE Act is an abomination. It's Jim Crow 2.0 across the country. We are going to do everything we can to stop it.
Certainly fitting of the name, Chuck the Schmuck. Now, the Save America Act, it passed in Senate by a slim margin the other day, 218 to 213. They'll try to get it into Congress where you need the 60 votes. J.D. Vance, the vice president, if it came down to a tiebreaker, his vote would break the tie. And of course, from there, it will go to President Trump's desk, signed as a bill into law. And it may be voted on sooner than later. Time will tell. However, there are just two things that it requires. They're so basic and simple in nature. It's like that song, right? Things that make you go, there it is. Okay, check it out. These are the two things that they're basically looking to enact with the Save America Act. To register to vote, what you need with the House passed version, documentary proof of citizenship, passport, birth certificate, etc. To vote on election day, state-issued photo ID. Now, just for the record, okay, I looked this up. I know the state of Florida offers free photo ID. So do other states. If you're an elderly person, if sometimes specifically if it's for low income or homeless, as you see, some of the states, it depends on the circumstance, that are blue underlined: Georgia, Idaho, Nebraska, Ohio, Indiana, Alabama, Arizona, Washington State, so on and so forth. In other words, it's pretty damn simple to get an ID if you're even homeless and broke. Now, these are the things that require valid ID. I'll bounce a few of them off on you. Just go left to right. Driving, donate blood, boarding an airplane, buying a firearm, doctor's office, hospital, social security services, when applying for a job, if you go to a pawn shop, pharmacy, writing a check, bank transaction, use a credit card, buy a car insurance, apply to a school. And it goes on and on. Check out a library book. You want to buy a house, rent an apartment, the application, right? Car registration. I mean, you need an ID for all these things to get by in a civilized America as a law-abiding, tax-paying, well, sometimes even if you aren't. But if you have an ID, well, there's a lot of things that are just commonplace where you don't think about it twice. But all of a sudden, to vote in a federal election, As you see what President Trump had to say about it, it's an issue. Why? Because, well, Trump really hits the nail on the head. Let me read you his Truth Social post. The Democrats refuse to vote for voter ID or citizenship. The reason is very simple. They want to continue to cheat in elections. This is not what our founders desired. I have searched the depth of legal arguments, not yet articulated or vetted on this subject, and will be presenting an irrefutable one in the very near future. There will be voter ID for the midterm elections, whether approved by Congress or not. Also, the people of our country are insisting on citizenship and no mail-in ballots, with exceptions for military, disability, illness, or travel. Thank you for your attention to this matter. In caps, President Donald J. Trump. Absolutely, I'm into that. Now, Trump certainly has an executive order in the works. According to the Gateway Pundit, this is being reported on this evening. And by the way, you see it dated right there. Today is the 13th. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone out there. Have a great weekend. Gateway Pundit, just in, President Trump says he will sign executive order mandating voter ID shortly as Senate debates SAVE Act. It is a can't miss for re-election in the midterms and beyond. Quote, end quote. We'll see what happens with the Save America Act. However, you can bet this, with that executive order and all the might and strength and powers he has, legally, President Donald Trump will make it cheat-proof when it comes to the midterm elections in 2026. Beyond that, again, we'll see what happens. Time will only tell. I'm certainly hoping that the Save America Act is pushed across, because that's exactly what I voted for on November 5th, 2024.